right, so welcome back to the show. Tell me where we're gonna run go if you and we don't make Ghana a safe place to stay. Yes, and that starts from home. It starts from our behavior. We're marking World Environmental Day for today, and we're focusing on the theme, which happens to be land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. Our land is the foundation of life, providing us with food, water, and shelter. However, it's under increasing pressure from factors like deforestation, urbanization, and climate change. Today, we explore the ways to restore and protect our land for a sustainable future. So, getting into the conversation, Mimi, who do we have inside the studios there?
This morning, we're joined by, via Zoom, Gloria, Glory Emanuela Apia, a National Coordinator AG, and also Ghana Youth Environmental Movement, Michael Akon. I pronounce it well? Yeah. My producer is proud of me. Board Chair Young Reporters for the Environment, Ghana, that's Lamuel Tete Odonko. Good morning, sir. How are you doing? And also we have Damwa Emmanuel Nyako, HSSE advisor. Good morning.
Good morning, dear.
He said he's a regular, but I'm meeting him for the very first time. And I think he's an exciting soul. This morning, we're going to have a long conversation about Environmental Day. But let me start this way. So this year's theme is land restoration. How is that important to you? How is land restoration important to you?
Okay. So good morning to our viewers. And I think for this very subject, it's cut across every circle. Anything that has to do with the environment, it's not a one-person affair, it's not a one-man something. It's cut across everywhere. Because we live in the environment, we stay here, we do everything here. The lands or whatever that we're enjoying today belong to our forefathers. They took good care of it. And now, the onus is on us to also take good care of the environment now and possibly pass it on to the next generation. We will not do them any good if we destroy or put the land at risk during our time. So anything that has to do with land restoration, basically, is my activity, your activity, and together, any activity that has to do with us, whether urbanization, industrialization, modernization, whatever, that is posing threat to the environment. But the restoration is where we want to restore the land to its natural state. We want to give it that very sphere or scope where it would be able to inhabit the ecosystem, biodiversity, and support plant growth, even the oxygen that we get, the air quality. You know, we breathe out carbon dioxide, right? And then the plant to absorb it and give us oxygen back. So there's a phrase or something that we say, when the last tree dies, what happens? The last man dies. So if we don't restore the land, the last tree will die, and we, or whoever is alive as the last man, would also die. So that is the extent or the opening of our conversation. I'm sure we will delve much into it as the conversation goes by.
As individuals, I mean, in recent times, we've had different conversations about climate change. The conversation has gone on. Initially, when this conversation started, it didn't even start here on the African front. It was one, I've forgotten what nationality that young girl was, but she was so big on telling people about, come again?
Is it Brother Tamsberg, USA?
USA, and she had a whole movement on talking about climate change, and she was so passionate about it to the point where she got international recognition for championing this movement. Little did we know that in 2024, that thing that young girl talked about a couple of years ago was going to be happening. And so for me, I think that is a great conversation to have today on the 5th of June. However, how are human beings, contributing to an unhealthy environment? What are we doing? What are some of the lifestyle activities that we deploy that makes it very, very, very unsafe for the environment, creates an unsafe environment for people living in it? And I'm going to give that to you, Lamuel.
Okay, so I'll tackle from fossil fuels in our cars, and then the way we use our cars, fumes from exhaust and monoxides that come out, and then from our factories also, our production plants, and then equipment that are oil-fired. So these fumes go up into the atmosphere, and then they cause greenhouse effect gases. And then that's what's causing much of the climate change in our environment. So we are advocating that we switch to sustainable practices, going green, solar panels, and then also chargeable vehicles that we can use these days, and then also in equipment, and we can switch to more sustainable fuel so that we don't burn much fuel that has H2SO4 in it. So these things are what's causing the climate to change, because this release into the environment is very harmful, and then it depletes the ozone layer.
Now, I was in Kumasi a couple of weeks ago, and whilst driving towards there, I saw a lot of greens. Guys, Ghana is green to an extent. It looks like it's only Accra that there are no greens. So I was asking myself, to the people that are complaining about we are cutting trees, no. Trees, can't it just help everybody? Because it's like a whole stretch of, I can't count how many meters of a very green environment. When you climb up the mountains, you see a very green space. Is that not enough? Can't it help, protect our environment, so to speak? Who's going to take that? You, Emmanuel?
So, I would even jump back to your climate change question, then I'll bring this answer in. So you remember we used to have two main seasons in Ghana. Yeah. We used to have the wet season and then the dry season. But currently we cannot predict that this very stretch of months is the wet season. It used to start from, let's say February, March, April, May, June, the rain sets in. By mid-August, July, August, September, the dry season sets in. September, October, November, December, then we have the full harmattan, then the drought, and there's no water flowing through our pipes and all that. But these days, it's raining in January, it's raining in December, it's raining in March. We don't know,
every day.
We can't call a particular period of time our dry season or our wet season. You get it. And so that is the extent of climate change. These days, the sun shines so much, and you're like, if you're an air bottle, it's not from everyone, it's climate change. And these things have ripple effects on our economy, on our health, our well-being, our lives as well, just as Lemo rightly said. So back to your afforestation or the forest reserves that you see, we need enough of them. Currently, we are doing more urbanization, like I did mention earlier on. Towns are, springing up, estates, people, almost everybody wants to build, right? And then we are putting up more factories. And these factories generate the fossil fuel, vehicles that we use, the greenhouse, the gases that goes into the atmosphere. Everybody wants to drive. In Accra here, we all drive to, let's say if we're staying in Medina, Adenta, or Ebri, we all want to drive to Central Accra. And after work, we all drive back. We are not using much of the buses. We are not using these electric vehicles or sustainable means of how we can safeguard the environment. And so we need more forests to make up for the losses from the urbanization, the industrialization, the gases that we are producing. So the forests that you saw are not enough.
Are not enough,
I live at Takwa, specifically in Abosso, in the Christian Huni Valley constituency. Anytime on TV, I mention it because we have enough forest reserve, but we are also at the receiving end of Galamsey. And I'm sure our conversation will dive into some of these practical measures as to how best we can safeguard the environment. And so the trees that you saw are not enough. We need more.
Now, in restoring our lands, one would say that the human race is evolving, and so we're getting into a lot of technology. How are we utilizing that opportunity of technology to restore our land? What, do you have any idea if other countries are using technology to restore land, or if you, as individuals in that your small caucus, have employed some technology to restore land, or if you have any recommendations?
Okay, would anybody take that? Michael?
Michael, you want to take that?
No, take that.
Okay, so for technologies, there are various, a lot of them that we can adopt. We can use drones. We can use drones for piloting, for remote sensing. We can just fly them. They identify areas within a forest. You can see a thick forest. But if you've not entered to see, probably there are areas where some species are going extinct, right? So drones can do these jobs. And we can also use the intervention of social media apps such as WhatsApp. Yes. It's easy for people to just report anything untoward on WhatsApp. Twitter, IG, wherever. So we can integrate some of these technologies in our daily activities. The government can spearhead that, oh, look, if you see anything, whether deforestation, pollution, just name them, quickly report to this very number. And it's such that It is anonymous, data privacy, everything is there. So people just send the details to a specific WhatsApp number. And we have a government agency receiving it. It's a way of technology. Receiving it and, okay, this is a distress message. It's happening at Labadi. Somebody is doing sandwing and somebody is cutting down trees at Dunkwa in Western region. No, Central region. Somebody is cutting down trees at Huni Valley, close to Daman in the Western region. Then quickly we call whoever is there, whether it's the EPA, is the Minerals Commission, whatever activity that is ongoing. Quickly we can address them. So these are technologies that we can use. WhatsApp, everybody uses WhatsApp, right? Yeah. So we can just create that system. We leverage on that technology, and we are good to go. Other countries are using it.
Yeah, I would say that it's such a brilliant submission, but we have seen this country fail as woefully in one of our biggest canker as a country, that is the Galamsey conversation. And I'm glad that you mentioned it before, so I'm going to bring it right now before I forget. So I was telling my colleagues that I used to see it on social media, on people's, on television, but I'd never seen it with my eyes, how the waters have been, destroyed. I took a trip to Kumasi again, and I'm driving past a certain area, and I see the water, and my friend tells me, look at this is the water that the Galamsey people have destroyed. And it was sad. And it was such a huge stretch that much water is going waste because nobody can use that water. And unfortunately, these people have that water as their main source of water for a lot of things. So sometimes they have to fetch them, put them down for a while, cook them, and all of that. And there are chemicals in these things. So if you talk about employing all these platforms and making sure that, we talk about it. The bigger conversation is there. We've not been able to do that. And EPA as a body, I don't know if you ask me. Do you think EPA is living up to their expectation? Honestly, let's talk about EPA.
EPA is doing their best. Minerals Commission is also doing their best. I've had some interactions with the Minerals Commission. I used to work in Takwa and then Daman Goldfields as a contractor for Drill Masters. And so we were into mineral exploration. So I used to liaise with the Minerals Commission and EPA as well as our regulators. They are really doing their best. But the challenge here is the illegal mining. We have the legal mining, the mainstream mining, the large-scale mining. And even with the Galamsey folks, we have those that are regulated. And we have those which are not regulated. Those who are not regulated do not have permits. The government did launch community mining initiatives. These ones are regulated. The ones in Takwa have safety guys. They have land, mine closure plan. They implement a lot of initiatives just so they could mine sustainably, right? But the illegal ones are the ones who are mining in river bodies, cutting down trees indiscriminately, sending excavators to the deep forest, probably having some middlemen from the community and leading them, giving them these concessions, and they are cutting down the trees. So we need to tackle it from the illegal point of view. Those who have the permits, who are being regulated, who are being, monitored, are doing the right thing. But the question here, the bigger conversation here, is the illegal miners. Who brought them in? Who gave them these concessions? Who gave them the permits? Who is housing them? Who is providing security for them? So it's a broad conversation.
You see, that is where my worry comes from. So we've had a president that has talked about tackling this issue holistically. We've had different governments talk about this. What would it take to legalize these people? To say that, listen, you're already into it. We can't stop you. It looks like that's where you're going to get your daily bread from. And we already have employment issue. So let's put you into the small-scale mining space where what you're doing will not damage, our water bodies. What would it take? Anyhow.
Michael, you haven't spoken.
I don't know if you have an answer to that.
Let's go
to that. We'll come back to Emmanuel and Lamo. But Michael, for someone who is a young reporter for the environment, what are some of the things that you've identified that are problems, and you feel as a youth we could actually provide our quota to it, for that matter?
Right, thank you for your question. So I think I would add to what he said regarding reporting on using social media and digital technology. So UNICEF is running a program like that you get to send whatever information you have that you think can contribute. It's an anonymous platform, so you get to share any information that you want to. Your name is not noted and everything, so you can say anything as far as it's relevant. So it's via short code or SMS, right? So 1755. It's called the UNICEF U Report. Yeah, and you can also find them on social media, on Facebook, IG, and the rest. Yeah. So back to your question. So I think what we do as YRE, I'm representing Young Reporters for the Environment Ghana, and what we do is basically we work through advocacy.
Okay.
And so we spread messages and information on what is going on in the environment.
Okay.
Yes, and so what are the issues, what are people doing, what are young people doing, and as I'm speaking now, we also engage in other projects with other organizations. We are currently doing a cleanup, a community cleanup at La Paz with Bastard Boys and then Ghana Youth Environmental Movement. So it's ongoing now this
Well,
morning.
Pastor Boys.
Yes.
These boys, we've been giving them their flowers, oh, guys.
They're doing amazing.
Amazing stuff.
So that is currently ongoing. We also have other ones like the PADA projects, which we are collaborating with other organizations to give reusable parts, not the parts that are there already, but these are reusable parts because we all know how parts are expensive in this country. And so we are calling for donations to afford reusable parts to young people who cannot afford for their sanitation, right? And so we also have a project we are pushing with Ghana Youth Environmental Movement called the Ban on Single-Use Plastics. So as part of the measures to curb this environmental challenge, we are calling for a ban on single-use plastics. And why are we doing this? Because we've seen it work in other places. In Rwanda, if you are aware, in 2018, I think, they implemented that, and you can see how massive it has affected their sanitation problems. Yeah. So I think, those are some of the things we do.
All right. Joining us for the conversation too as well via Zoom, we've got Glory Emanuela Apia, who happens to be AG National Coordinator, Ghana Youth Environmental Movement. Glory, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you right here on the AM Club. We're marking World Environmental Day, and of course, the theme has to do with land restoration. Quickly, to you, what are some of the land restoration activities and nature-based solutions we could use to help curb droughts?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to greet your audience who are listening to this World Environment Day. If not for anything, just put plastics where they're supposed to be. That's a simple message I'm sending across. Okay, so back to your question. I think that some of the land restoration activities that we can embark on, or some of the nature-based solutions, would be planting trees. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And fortunately, the Forestry Commission of Ghana is embarking on the Green Ghana Day initiative again this year. And this year as well, they are giving out free seedlings. So you can just walk into any Forestry Commission office and just get seedlings and plant a tree. The next thing we can do is to practice sustainable agriculture. We can do that by practicing agroforestry, where we inculcate trees into the normal farming methods. That by doing so, we are able to hold the soil, the trees, the roots of the trees are able to hold the soil together. And then we can also practice regenerative agriculture, which is in such a way that the tillage processes on the land is lessened, and so the soil is not disturbed too much. So it is able to retain its original nutrients, retain the soil organisms such as the earthworms, the millipedes, and the centipedes, which all come together to build the health of the soil. These and many other things are available to us, and these are practices that have been going on since time immemorial. Our forefathers used to do this. And I can go on and on, but then these are the ones I will
All right. Just to follow up to that, yes, you did mention that we need to plant trees, and of course, our in-house right here, Michael, everybody agrees with that. They said what we have right now is not enough. But as a Ghanaian, probably have not moved to other places in Ghana, but where are the spaces that we are going to be planting the trees?
So I think planting trees starts with us in our homes. So for instance, in my house, we have like 6 trees. And there are spaces. If we are building houses and we keep putting concrete, keep putting pavement blocks and pavement everywhere in our homes, we are contributing to the problem. We are covering the natural soil without giving space for even water to seep into the soil when it rains. And then this excess water then tends to lead to flooding because already our drainage systems are choked from all the plastics that we are putting in there. So planting trees starts with us. When you're building your house, leave room to plant grass, leave room to plant trees, so that we have that system, that landscape that prevents flooding, preserves the land, and contributes to a better environment in general.
Okay. And I do know that, you know, when it comes to pollution, it also has to do with our behavior. All right. It's very crucial for that one. So for you, in enforcing strict solutions on pollution, what are some of the methods or things that you think that we need to, you know, impose so that at least we can yield results for that matter?
Okay, so this what I'm going to share with you was not actually my idea, but it's the ideas that we got from some market women at the Kaneshie markets when we embarked on our community sensitization and awareness campaign as part of the ban of single-use plastics campaign. So these women in the markets, we engaged them and we asked them that what are some of the ways that they thought that the rate of plastics in our drainage systems could be reduced. And they themselves said that we should put in task force that would punish people. If you are seen dropping plastics or if you are seen polluting the environment, you should be detained. I mean, your whole day should be wasted, and then you should be allowed to clean up a particular space. So something like community service. So if you are caught in the act of polluting the environment, we give you community service. If you are caught in the act of polluting the environment, we fine you. If you are caught in the act of polluting the environment, we give you some jail time, so that this will serve as a deterrent to people that are into the act of polluting the environment.
Okay, so that means if I drop a sachet, let's say at Agbobloshi, I'll be made to sweep all the way to Kaneshie. Something like
Beautiful.
that. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that would make me not drop a sachet the next time.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, on a global scale, how can government involve themselves? Because again, we did discuss EPA earlier. I personally have my own sentiments about EPA, but we'll talk about that in private, okay? But on a global scale, how can governments contribute their own quota to help building a better environment, number one? And of course, our lands that are being destroyed, what can government do? Because we have seen the great initiatives that they've spoken about, but hasn't been implemented.
Stop to Operation Vanguard.
Yes. But realistically, what are some of the things that we could do, especially government? Because Jay has deeply discussed what humans can contribute, but let's look at the government, because they are the leading body of the country. What can they do to curb these situations?
Okay, so they would, Saturday,
yeah,
is Green Ghana Day, right?
Yes.
Good. So I think it happens every year. And some corporate once
365 days.
Okay, so once every year. Or?
Shouldn't it be more? Michael,
that's where I'm coming from,
Yeah, I think
one day
it should be more. So for some of us that work with some of these youth groups, we do like that almost every month or like very frequently. Yeah, and so I think on the national scale it's once, but I think more can be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with you. I think you were trying to say something.
So I think we can do it monthly because we have certain service organizations like the Lions Club, where in the month of June it's just dedicated for environment. So anything regards to environment, seed planting, sensitization, moving into the environment for cleanup, and all these things. So we do that within the month. So I think the government just making it one day, we can do more. If they can, they should just partner with other organizations who are willing, help them, support them so that they can go out there and then do their quota to help the environment.
Absolutely. And also, at some point, I think we used to do the cleanup Saturday. What was that thing?
Yeah. Operation, I think clean your frontage.
Yeah, and it was like one Saturday in every month. Yeah. I didn't think that was enough, but at least.
Yeah. But why is it?
You see, certain areas have made it their thing.
Yeah.
So they do it whether government wants to do it. But let's make it a national thing.
So we need policy formulation.
So I think it needs to be reinforced.
So our policies are not reflecting what we should do. We are focused elsewhere. Okay, so the prevailing environmental challenges that lie at our doorstep, not far away, just at our doorstep, we are not focusing on them. We are investing into industrialization, digitalization, all the things, right? But environmental, where
Environmentalization. We should add environmentalization. Then they'll put us inside.
where we live in,
Yeah.
right? Everything that surrounds us. Like I did mention earlier, the environment does not belong to us. We hold it in trust of generations yet unborn. So the onus is on us now, whether you are in government, whether you are not in government, wherever that you find yourself, to contribute your little, right, into sustaining the environment. But the bigger picture here has to do with the government, with the right policies, just as we mentioned earlier. I mean, implementing it on a monthly basis where you can partner with some corporate organizations. These days, CSR is taking a lot of some of these things. Yeah. So as part of their CSR initiatives, they would want to plant trees, they would want to go into community engagement, awareness, sensitization, cleanups, and what have you. You get it. But if the government is not creating that niche for people to also leverage on that, then we are not going anywhere. Sure. So the policy is the key thing here. And when we have the policies, we need to implement them. Our challenges here has to do with the nice policies. We have it. But the implementation, the sustainability of these very policies is a bigger picture for some of these conversations.
A colleague of mine, of ours, did a project on our maintenance culture, and that's Natalie Ford. Great piece she put out there. And I'm like, if this girl does not do it, or if we don't rise up to the occasion to begin to highlight some of the loopholes in growing a better Ghana, at what point do we decide? So this particular conversation is so big, like our sustainability culture, like we'll bring out this big and beautiful ideas. Exactly. The policies are nice, account implementation. Now, if they implement, because we've talked about one that was such a beautiful thing, like every Saturday, and it fostered community as well, because you see people coming out on Saturday mornings, you know, someone you've never talked to cry, you know, you're talking to, and it was nice. We couldn't sustain that initiative. So that's probably one of our big problems, aside of our terrible maintenance culture.
I think we can also go back to the tankers. That thing.
We need it.
Tankers. Those days, the tankers man is coming.
You start running.
You start running. You clean up your frontage. You cannot burn trees and just leave. You cannot burn rubbish. You cannot just leave, I mean, in unsanitary or on untoward area. No, you can't. Because you know tankers in the and you have to pay fine, right? But the town council people, for whichever reason, they are not also doing what they used to do back then. So I think, is it government or we the individuals?
I think it's both ways.
I want us to get, is a very, 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 very important thing that you've raised now. So my question here is it that they've lost interest? Are there economical problems that are contributing to this factor? Why are we getting there?
So you can look at it from, are they well, just as Riley mentioned, are they well resourced? Do they have enough logistics? Are they trained? Are they empowered? Probably they go and issue someone to someone, and some big man somewhere comes, and then we know, you get it. Yeah. So they need to be empowered. They are supposed to be legislative or we call it parliamentary instruments or whatever. LI, let's say LI, legislative instruments. They need to have this backing so they can adequately carry out their duties. I know there is, because they get their powers from the local governments and all that. But how powerful are these powers that are given to them? How powerful are these very powers that are given to them? If you have power and someone somewhere can also counter your power, then, I mean, your power is not that powerful.
You know what I think about in recent time? I'm like, all these big men, where were they before? It looks like before they didn't used to be big men, no, because now the big men did. Because you know, another issue that I find very interesting. I don't know if it's in your space, or you have, you know, the power to answer to some of these things. But let's see where we get to with this. So when you get to certain areas, the roads are very bad, causing a lot of, you know, flooding. So there are certain areas when it rains, people can't even go to their homes. And this is supposed to be an EPA conversation where they make sure that these floodings don't continue. Another part of the conversation is our road and highways.
Exactly.
they have to make sure our roads. But some others say that, oh, these roads are inner roads. They are in our area, so they can't. It's not that big of a deal to the road and highways. So individuals do rise up sometimes and say that, you know what, I'm going to fix this road. And then apparently, because I've heard from 2 people that they tried to fix a road in their area and they have not been given the permission to do it. What do you know if do you have an idea what the technicalities, because these areas are flooding, like my area. A gentleman that I spoke to a couple of days ago, because when you're going to my house when it rains there,
where do you stay?
Oyarifa.
Oh, okay.
And so sometimes when you have to go and use a longer route, but which, I mean, there's a very short one that takes me home. But when it rains, the whole place, if your car is as small as mine, you will just drown. And school children are coming back from school. They have to pass through these conditions. So the gentleman said, you know what, I have small money. I can fix it. And up until now, he's not been given permission. Do you know the technicalities around this and how we could help curb some of these situations?
I got emotional when you said the school children or the kids have to be at the receiving end of some of these things. And so what's happening? You know, you are supposed to go through some legal processes or some institutional processes. Yes. So the Ghana Roads and Highways Authority, and then you go to the feeder roads, the urban roads, depending on what you want to do, right? But they also feel that private investors, you cannot just all of a sudden wake up and say, oh, I want to construct the road. No. You can't. You're supposed to tell them. They would bring their engineers, whatever that they are supposed to pass you through. I know of these things that private people want to develop. You are not the only one. I've heard it. That they want to develop the roads and they will tell them, no, you can't do that. Because there's a government institution or agency who is mandated for some of these things. So
responsible for these things.
And
they are not doing it. Exactly. And I'm the one suffering.
You still have to pass through their quotas.
So
and then
I cannot wake up as
you can't. You can't.
Ghanaian.
No, you can't wake up.
Because I'll tell you what, you are all my brothers. But for now, I do know that there's a construction happening, from Pokwase to Nsawam and everything. But anybody who calls me from Nsawam, I tell you I won't come.
Yeah.
Because the roads are that bad.
Yeah.
You get it. We are not talking about roads per se, but these are the things, these are critical things, as my colleague is saying right now. So I cannot wake up, or I cannot wake up and say, Mimi, you know what, we have money. Let's try and fix something we cannot.
Ghana.
So if I pass through the processes too, and the processes are very difficult to attain permission.
They haven't gotten permission for over a year. I've been living in that area for 2 years. This young man has tried, and now he's done.
I think if there's anyone watching us from the Ghana Roads,
we need answers.
We need
answers. What are the why don't these people get permission to? Because I think that so in Nigeria, right? I have lived in Nigeria for a very short period, and some of the things that I notice is that if they have an area, road is bad, and one big man says that, listen, I live just across the road, I can't be passing through. You can just fix the road.
But in Ghana, people do.
And put
people do fix roads privately.
They do. Yeah. In fact, one that I've actually recently heard was that there's a road somewhere that a pastor, I'll not mention his name, it's the road is to his church. So he said he's going to fix, the pastor.
Yes.
He's going to fix the road so that his church members can come to church,
and he was given the permission to do that.
He wasn't given. So he hasn't been given the permission.
Up to now.
Even up to now.
So if anybody is watching us from the Ghana Highways Authority, or we need answers to some of these things. Probably if you have to review or restructure our whatever.
Yeah. Our whatever. Because clearly it's a whatever. Jay?
Well, let's come back to the conversation again. And I did raise the topic of the economical problems. Can we get some instances where you feel that maybe some economical problems that we're facing right here in Ghana serves as a contributor to land degradation? And I'll start with you, Lamo. Do you feel that there are some instances, probably just vivid instances?
Yeah, so talking about economic instances that can cause our environment to degrade, it's really true, because sometimes the individuals here gets up, going to look for something to eat. So certain things like cleaning your environment, planting trees, it's not a person's priority, because if you look at the pyramid of needs, You need your food, you need your shelter, before you can think about other things that you have
Yeah.
to do. So if the person doesn't even have food to eat, a place to keep his head, what's it got to do with cleaning his
With your
environment?
planting of
So
trees.
that would be the first priority.
Yes, exactly.
I totally
I didn't
agree.
think I mean to me got Tommy
Yeah.
go be, but me quite planting.
We've got planting trees. What's more important?
Exactly.
So sometimes we need to just be conscious about it, whether you like it or not. It has a long way of affecting us. So we need to go out of our way, even though we might be struggling, to at least put certain things, just in a small way you can, just do something for the environment. Your grandchildren would come and benefit from it today. That's one thing I think.
But in an instance where someone, as you rightly said, it's not going to have that urge to do so, how can we keep that conversation? Or how can we even whet someone's appetite to be able to do something of this and let the person understand that, hey, you're doing this for your environment at the end of the day?
So I think one thing that we should start doing very well is it's on your part, you as the media, because if I switch on my television, mostly I get to know what is going on in the entertainment space, political space, and everything. But we leave out some of these critical aspects, and that is very bad. Today is World Environmental Day. That's how can we get to discuss some of these issues. But like your host said, all the 365 days, it's just one day that is singled out to talk about these issues. But if I turn on my television and I get to know information on what is going on the environment and how it can affect me, that if I get to know that in the next 5 or 10 years I'll not be able to live, I'll not get food to eat, then I'll get scared to prepare. Yeah, so I think information, pushing information through the media is one of the ways.
Let's get to Glory then.
Yes. Oh, Glory is still with us. Glory, we are very sorry. Glory, are you still with us? Hello, Glory.
With you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for staying with us. We know we left you for a bit. The gentlemen in the studio have been engaging us, but let's get into it. I want to look at it from this part. Maybe when we sound it this way, they might, be interested, or my viewers might be interested. Are there any economical benefits in restoring lands, in investing in restoring our lands? Are there any economical benefits?
Yes, there are economical benefits. So first of all, I'll start it from the angle of tree planting. So there's been recent conversations about carbon credits and how organizations are investing into planting of trees such that they can sell their carbon credits. And that is one of the ways through which you can earn money from restoring lands, by planting trees and then getting the carbon credits from those trees if you maintain them and keep them to a level that they mature and are able to sequester carbon from the atmosphere. Another way of getting economical benefits from the land restoration would be practicing agroforestry. In practicing agroforestry, you're able to cultivate trees and you're able to cultivate crops. So you get the benefits of the crops, you get the benefits of the trees as well. Some farmers are able to harvest these trees as timber when it gets to a certain state, and that is regulated by the Forestry Commission of Ghana, of course. And so there are ways in which you can generate money or get economic benefits from restoring land.
Nice. Thank you so much for that education. Now, is there a way we can get some sort of knowledge from indigenous knowledge? Okay, so for instance, a couple of years ago, we didn't know how these people did it, but they did plant trees in every home. In my house, I'm a pension baby, so I had a father and a grandfather at the same time. And we had a lot of trees at home. We had a lot of greens at home. Can we tap into that knowledge? And how do we go about that? Because again, we have evolved. Is she still with us? Okay, right.
Okay,
so can anybody,
Yeah.
please?
So I think over the weekend I posted something on my status. I shared that we should go back to, I mentioned that today is World Environmental Day, World Environment Day, and we should go back to our old practices. And then I emphasized on the ban on single-use plastics, and I mentioned some of the ways that we can do this, like using water bottles, reusable bottles, like tote bags, and other sustainable ways. And I mentioned baskets, but someone was like, basket, yeah, it's kind of old-fashioned. But I think in the olden days, some of these things worked for them, and they were going to farms and even in the market and their daily lives, their daily routine, using their old methods. But we are trying to copy from the West.
Modernize everything.
Yes, but we are moving so fast without thinking of how best. You see, their system is different. Their environments, they have 4 seasons. We have 2. Like everything from theirs, their system is different from ours. Okay, and so when we are copying, we do not have to copy vividly. We have to like take our time and then merge it with ours. Yeah, so I think we need to go back to our old ways. We earlier mentioned the town councils or the tankers. You see, when I was a kid, like when I hear tankers is coming, I literally run. If I'm not wearing shoes or something,
Leave
or
it behind.
yes, because I mean, I heard
And I think
that.
they went as far as yeah, it's me
Yes,
more.
and I think there was a fine to your parents, and so
Yes.
if your parent is going to be fined, like you know,
make sure.
you know that money
the discipline
is
is there.
yeah. So I think we have to really go back to our old ways, the indigenous ways.
Emmanuel, do you want to touch a bit on that
So-
in the space of land restoration?
I side with you when you say you're a pension baby. Myself, I'm also in that scope. So I think back in the day, we used to see our mothers, their kitchen. They would have a big poly bag, right, that contains a lot of plastics.
Yeah.
So whenever they go to the market, whatever that they get, I mean, whichever plastic they use, when they come, they keep it inside. So when they are going back to probably for market or whatever, they reuse it. Our mothers didn't know that we have 3 hours in environmental, right, so to speak. So we have reuse, recycle, and reduce. The first step is reduce. So our parents never knew that they were actually applying the 3-hour principles.
Wow.
So reduce, they go back, they pick it, they go to the market, they shop, they bring back the same thing.
Yes.
You get it.
Yeah.
And the next one has to do with reuse.
Yeah.
They were reducing, they were reusing it, and when it gets back to the environment, that's when we have the recycle.
Yeah.
So our parents did use that old-fashioned, the baskets, like he rightly mentioned. You can use a basket for whether market activity. When you come, you just put out your foodstuff. You clean the basket, you put it down. The next day, you don't have to use any.
rubber.
The plastics are too much. The rubber thing is too much in our system. And that is what is contributing a lot to this land pollution and degradation.
Gentlemen and our lady online, I wish we could drag this conversation as far as what is going on in my head is happening because I can't.
Just one last one before we go. Just one
They will
last
beat
one.
you.
Just one last one. I mean, quickly, how do you think stakeholders can play a role in ensuring that we, have our land restorations? Stakeholders, how do they come in?
Right. So I think first the government, we need you to listen to our voices and put in place some of these policies like the ban on single-use plastics. That is number one. With corporate bodies and other organizations, we need your support. We need your support in terms of funding, giving us sponsorships and all of that. And then to ourselves, we need citizens to listen and participate because, like he mentioned, there are 3 hours of sustainability. That's reuse, reduce, and then recycle and upcycle. You see, these are ways that we can all use to sustain the environment. Yes, and also we need our participation, and then from the media as well, we need you to give us the space or the audience and promote the works that some of the youth groups like Young Reporters for the Environment are doing. Thank you.
You have a project coming up.
Yes, we have a series of community cleanups.
Okay.
There's one ongoing right now with the Bus Stop Boys and Ghana Youth Environmental Movement at La Paz, the Fadama Chief Imam Enclave. And then Saturday, which is also World Oceans Day. We also have one at the beach. So we have a series. So I think you can follow us on social media at Why Are We Ghana? Yeah. You get to know all that we are doing.
All that you're doing. How about you? You have any projects coming up?
Yes, so I am currently the director for Safety Campaign Ghana.
All right.
And we also do something similar to what the environment people do. We believe that, look, the working environment can be safe for everyone. So we advocate for safe and healthy work environment. So you can follow us on LinkedIn, Safety Campaign Ghana, on Facebook, Safety Campaign Ghana. And we are bringing up a mentorship cohort. And we've secured a 100% scholarship for people who are interested in occupational health and safety to actually apply when they get the opportunity to be mentored by seasoned HSE managers in Ghana and outside Ghana, you can write NEBOSH IGC free or NEBOSH environment. It costs between 6,000 to 7,000 Ghana cedis. But Safety Campaign Ghana have been able to secure a full scholarship for this. And this is what we are giving back to the society.
Wonderful. Any final words of you?
Okay, so I would like individuals to volunteer, go out there, join organizations who are already into this environmental sustainability practices. Like my friends here, Rotary is doing that, Lions Club, a member of Lions Club, we are also doing the same thing. Join them, any little time you get, try and then do something for the environment. It would go a long way to save and to protect the environment. So,
I don't know.
Before you even come in, I think I need to give credit to IBEX Systems. That is spearheaded or directed by Eric Brefo. They actually give us the scholarship. IBEX Systems, one of the leading HSC courses or institutions in Ghana here. Yes.
Listen, I want to say this, and guys, you've been amazing on the show this morning, and God bless you for all that you're doing. We appreciate that we have young people that are interested in initiatives like this. But I want to say that these boys, these bastard boys, we are not giving them enough credit in this country. When you meet them, tell them that we love them from MX24, and we see them and we appreciate what you guys are doing. It's such an incredible job. And for Glory, thank you so much for being a woman that understands that it's not only do you have to be in the kitchen, but you can be part of big conversations, and you have taken that initiative. God bless you so much, you young men, and my young lady online.
Does she have a project too, or she's part of it?
Yes, her organization is Ghana Youth Environmental Movement.
Okay.
So they are partnering with
Gloria,
us.
are you still with us?
Yeah.
I think we lost Glory.
Oh, we lost her. Okay,
But
anyways.
but tell her
Please,
that we
kindly
see
tell her
her,
that we see her.
and we love what they're doing.
The fact
And
that
maybe
she's
one of these
planting-
days we have to join Bastard Boys and
No,
then,
but the fact that
I
she's
think-
planting trees in her house, you know how mothers and women could be. You know, I just don't want to even be in the shoes of her children.
So, I mean,
But it's
gentlemen,
fine.
and of course, our Lady Glory, thank you so much for joining us this morning in Market Environmental Day. It's been a very, very educative conversation right here on the show. Thank you for coming. And for you out there, I hope you have learned a thing or two. Let's take care of our. It's a daily affair. Make sure every day of your life and every initiative that you take in the day is contributing to a healthy environment. Now we go in to plug into something amazing right after this short commercial break. We'll be right back.